What's going on, guys? This is December the 29th. Haven't updated in a while, but I finally got some time. I took the day off, work on the white Jeep. There's a few things that I needed to do to it. I meant to start recording earlier, but I forgot. So I've only done one thing so far, and running a TNT long arm on the front of this thing. And these are kind of prone to wheel hop. So right here, I had a polyurethane bushing from Artec, and it was just a really bad design. I didn't like it, and I think that might have been where that was coming from, that movement in the front end. So I ordered a Johnny joint and put in there. I actually ordered two. Ordered one to put over here also, get a better shot of that. There, where that's welded to the top of the truss. But I want to try this over here first before I cut this off, because that's a lot of work, and I think this over here might do it, and then this one over here, the poly one, will let it still move around and flex. So I don't know, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'll show you that other one and how it was made. Definitely I didn't like it from the get-go. You can see here it used the stock metal housing, and you actually had to burn the bushing, the stock bushing, out of it. And then their bushing was, this black piece, the urethane piece, and it just went inside of it and has a metal sleeve in it and a bolt. And then this piece is like a dust guard, I guess. But from the get-go, the control arm, where it goes around it, it never actually, you would tighten it down and it squished the bushing really bad, and actually cut that bushing. I ended up having to put a couple washers inside the bushing to space it out. So I've got that done. Go over to the other side. I've got a CB to put in it today. Turn this music down. I haven't had a CB in this rig yet. I had one in my old one, but it's an Anytone. They call it an 11, or they call it a 10mm radio, and you actually have to modify it to work as a CB. But you can see the thing is it's tiny. It's the size of my hand. So I'm gonna mount it. I've got that piece of stainless up there. I'm just gonna mount it, something like that. So I've still got to do that today. And then back here in the back, on the parking brakes, I've got a disc brake conversion on this 44, and right here on the parking brakes, can't feel them. Where's that? There it is. That's it. It goes down. These are stock parking cables, and then right there, got a flop shop bracket, and this is actually to work with the stock cable. My cable's still too long, so what I'm gonna have to do is cut the cable off and cut the spring off some and put an end on that. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna try to kind of film that. I've never filmed working on anything, so this is a new experience for me. But here we go. Alright, so now I got it opened up a little more and got the wheels off. You can really see. So this little bracket here clips onto the ear on the parking brake lever, and then the stock cable just clips in like it normally would. You have to trim off the ears a little bit, but these are just stock drum brake parking brakes I got off of Rock Auto for like 10 bucks. But the problem is, you can see the spring, how curved it is, and how it's so, you can see it's almost completely compressed together as it is. So when you pull the parking brake, it just compresses this cable or this spring down, and it doesn't actually pull the lever far enough to actually make the parking brake work correctly. So what I'm gonna do is cut the ferrule off the end right here and take the spring off and cut about, I don't know, probably a ½ inch or so off of it, the spring, put the spring back on, and then put the ferrule. I bought some ferrules with set screws in them, so I can slide that on, and then hopefully with the shorter spring and the cable pulled a little tighter, it'll let me actually adjust the parking brakes to where they work, because I really like having a working parking brake, especially in automatic off-road. Just nice to have. Alright, so now I need to let a little bit of pressure off of this adjuster right here so that I can pull the cables out of the things completely. And this thing is a real pain to get to. Found that a deep well 13/4 inch won't fit in there, and you can kind of pull the whole thing down some and it'll spin. I actually had to get a new one of these. This one was seized up, pretty rusty, but I found there's a guy on eBay selling these, and it's actually for a Wrangler. This piece is right here is different on a Wrangler. It's a lot wider, but all you have to do is just put your Cherokee one on here. So now that I got that loose, I really need to take it all the way off so that I can take these cables completely out. There we go. Because what I need to do is I need to make sure that both of these cables end up being the same length in the end, so this thing doesn't pull really funny. And this one won't go all the way back because it's actually stuck in that side right there. So I need to get that out. Alright, so you can see what we're working with. That's the end right there. Focus on it. So I'm just going to take cutoff wheel and cut right flush with this ferrule so that both sides are even, and hopefully I can just measure off the end and get my new one in the same place so that it'll pull equally on the cable. Always safety first. Got to put your googles on. So now I'm just gonna chop this off of here. Try not to cut my hand off. And there's the spring. So I'm probably just gonna end up cutting, I don't know, probably an inch or so off of this. Alright, so here's what I got at these little cable furls at the hardware store. So they have a set screw in them. I actually got the wrong size. This is a 3/16 one, and it doesn't fit. It's quite a bit too big, and I'm afraid that it just won't grab on very good. And the Allen screw is really short in it also, so I don't think it can get down in there far enough to actually tighten down on it. So I'm probably gonna end up riding back to the hardware store and trying to find something that'll fit a little better. Alright, so went to the hardware store, got some ferrules that actually fit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this thing back up so that I can pull the cables a little bit and kind of establish a point where the cables will have a little tension on them to start with, so then I can adjust up from there. And I'm actually going to install the ferrules first, so that, I'm going to install the ferrules before I cut the springs down, so then I'll really have a good idea of where exactly my springs need to be and how long they need to be. Alright, so here we go. You can see these are ferrules I found. These are 1/8 of an inch. I bought 3/16 thinking these cables were, I don't know, that big for some reason. But as you can see, it slides on the very end, but this cable has like a plastic protector on it. So I'm gonna have to like kind of skin that back, because that's as far as that'll go, just like that. So I need to figure out a way to do that. Stuff looks pretty tough, so maybe just like a utility knife I'll be able to strip it. Yeah, it was easy to strip. It was just like a rubber coating, so stripped it off, and I put 2 ferrules on there behind the little clip piece and cut the spring down. I've got the other spring here I can show for reference how much shorter it is. I ended up cutting like an inch off of it. And even right now it still has spring tension pushing back, because that's what these springs do. They push the levers back to make sure that the parking brake doesn't drag while you're driving. So I think this might actually work. I'm going to do the other side and then see if it actually functions or not. So I got them both done. You can see I put 2 ferrules on the back side of this bracket, and these are Hillman, just for your reference. Part number here, it's H883551. I bought 4 of them. So just kind of a recap: cut the end off, cut some of that abrasion resistant stuff off, cut about 1 inch off the spring, and then what I did I told you about over there, I just kind of loosely put the adjuster on so I could pull it tight with it final, but I just evened everything up when I pulled my furrows in tight, and I put a little pressure on these springs so that, like right now, it's pushing on there backwards a little bit to keep all this stuff just from flopping around, because I don't want any of this stuff to fall off. Actually, see, I have a little zip tie on there just to hold it. I don't think it can fall off, but just in case, because these aren't something you can just get. They're from where are they from? They're from the flopshop.com, and they're actually for an 8.8, but these are G2 brake kit, which I believe is modeled off of like ZJ stuff, I think, but it's all pretty similar. So they actually worked really nice, and they allow the use of these stock brake cables. So now I'll show you what I got going on over there at the adjuster, and we'll see if this thing actually works. So back under the Jeep, you can see here at the adjuster that got it pulled up a little bit so that everything has some tension on it, and you can see that this is even with the box, so that means that everything's pulling pretty decent. So now we'll pull the handle and see what happens. Before, with the springs like they were, you would pull the handle and it would just go about halfway up. So now that's not even all the way up, and it's got definitely got a lot of tension on it. So look back under here. Yeah, you can see in the box that everything looks like it's pulling pretty even. So it's good. You make sure that these ferrules haven't slipped. So you can see here, yeah, it looks good. Ferrules are good, and the spring's not compressed all the way either. There's still some gaps in the spring, so that's good. That means that cable can still pull in some more if it has to. So actually, I can probably really rip on that handle and tighten it up even more. And this side, same deal, looks good. Now that I've verified that it works, I think I'm going to pull these little set screws out one at a time. I'm actually going to Loctite those in there because I don't want that to come loose or be able to pull. I haven't really tightened them up. They got a tiny little Allen set screw in them, so they're kind of hard to get tight. I don't know that I really like that. It might end up, if this doesn't work, take them, put them in the mill, and drill them out a little bit for a bigger set screw so I can use a bigger Allen wrench. But we'll go ahead and do that and move on to the next thing, which is the CB install. Alright guys, back inside now. I had showed you earlier that I'd made a plate that it goes from the screw that holds the visor clips. It's this little plate here. You still got a hole in each end, and then mounted the mic clip and then the CB mount. And then it'll just go up like that right there. So the CB will be on kind of one side of the mirror and the mic will be on the other, and I can wrap the cord around the mirror to get it out of the way. But now I need to pull this and then all of the trim all the way back, because I'm going to run the coax above the headliner, and I'm going to have to be really careful because I have a broken clip on this one already, so it's not held on very well. It'll probably break. I'll have to glue it again. I had to do that when I put the headliner in it. And I think I'm going to pull my power from here, because this has 12 volts all the time, whether the ignition's on or off, because you can turn this light on right here all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on that, see if I can't get some wires run. I'm still waiting on my antenna to come, so I don't have that just yet. It'll be here today at some point whenever UPS drops by. So I'm going to get to work on that and try to get some of this stuff apart and see what kind of wiring I got going on. Alright, so this thing has two little screws that go in the very front there where you can see those holes, and it slides forward and comes down. You can see these three wires. There's a black wire, a yellow wire, and a pink wire. That's your power to the dome lights right there. So now I need to get meter out and see which one's power. I think I'm going to try to ground it right up front there to the body somewhere, so I don't have to deal with having any wires. I hate wiring anything and having wires running around where they shouldn't be, so I'd like to just keep it really simple. The only problem with this is I'm afraid I need to check and see what this circuit has for a fuse. The CB has a 5 amp fuse, but what I'm thinking is I'll probably just get an LED for right here and back in the back. So I believe that's on the same circuit, and that should keep from overloading the circuit at all. Okay, got my meter. See what these read. I know for a fact that the black one is ground, and let's try this pink one. Got 12.5 volts there, and they got 12.5 on yellow on both, so that's kind of weird. Try opening the door. Still got power on the pink. I got no power on the yellow, so it must send power up there to tell the dome light to shut off, I guess. So we know that the pink one is the one that we need to tie into. Alright, so I got the wires run from right here behind the mirror. I popped this over here loose and took the visor out so I can get my hand in there. It's really tight. I was going to try to ground it up here somewhere, but I really don't want to take the whole headliner out of this thing, so I think I'm actually just going to ground it to probably this bracket right here that holds the dome light in. And then I will just use one of these little Scotch clip guys. I don't really like these, but in this application where it's inside and it's up in the ceiling, it's never going to get wet. I really don't feel like soldering over my head, so this is definitely going to do the trick. I got this wire cut, the ground. Got an eyelet for it, so put that in there. And crimp the hell out of it so it doesn't come apart. That's good. So I drilled a little pilot hole in this bracket right here, and then I just used a sheet metal screw and attached my loop that I crimped onto it. Now all I have left to do is take the power wire, and we'll use that Scotch clip like I said and go to this pink wire right here because it's a constant 12 volts. So I got the Scotch clip on and the power wire. So now we've got power to the radio. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Powered up. DE, it's on FM. Switch it over to AM. It's pretty cool. heck yeah, now I just need my antenna so I can wrap up this install. Alright, finally got my antenna, Wilson Little Will magnetic base. I was going to try to pass the coax through here and back into the inside, but the way this thing opens, I haven't put one on this body style Cherokee, just the older ones with the fiberglass hatch. This one actually pinches the coax in this gap right here, so I'm going to have to drill a hole in the roof. I really don't want to, but it's going to have to happen. Ended up buying this little rubber plug at the hardware store, and I drilled a hole in it and I split it. So I'll drill a hole big enough to pass the connector through, and then should be able to wrap this around the cable, and with a little bit of silicone seal it up. So right now I'm going to mark the roof about where I want it. I'm going to try to hit the dome light hole, which I know is about hand width from that, so it's about 8 inches in. And then these are, it's 8.5, so 4 1/4 is the middle. So now I need to drill a big hole right there. Super exciting. I've got an Irwin stepper bit in here, and just gonna take off. Check it. I didn't measure that. Ah, so close. Here go the next one. That one right there. That's it, it'll pass. Alright, so I got it in. Got my mag base on there, and then put my rubber grommet in, and I put some black silicone around everything and on the wire where it passes through. So should seal up pretty good right there. Once it dries and I get out in the sun, my garage is dark. I need to do some lighting upgrades, but it looks like that'll work. So now I need to go inside and try to route the coax up to the front up there. I'm gonna try to kind of run it down the center of the headliner, but then I got to go around my my little bracket in the front and come back up into the back of the radio. So we'll do that now. I got everything run. Had to get my light out because it's dark, but so the hole's right above the dome light right there, and I ran the coax up front, kind of through the middle, and then off to the driver's side. But I zip tied all the excess up and put it right here with the under the dome light, and then you can actually see the CB up there. Got it all mounted up, and it turns on. I haven't tested it yet to see if it works. I don't have the antenna on yet because we're in the garage, but hopefully I can get the I still got to put all this side of the interior back together, so hopefully I can get it slapped in. Oh, wait a minute, that side, this side over here is already together. So I need to put that together, and then I should be done for the afternoon, and I can go see if we can pick anything up. The interstate's about 3 miles away, so if we can pick that up, I think we'll be doing pretty good. So I got it all installed and working now. Took it over to a friend of mine's shop, and he's got a CB in his Comanche. So he turned his on, and I went and drove around a little bit. I didn't get very far away, but it works at 100 yards away, so that's better than pretty much every CB I've ever had. Pretty happy with it so far. This will be the end of this little episode. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, because like I said, it's the first time I've ever done one of these where I was actually working on something and recording. It's tricky to do. You really got to think about it. So yeah, this is going to be the end, but hopefully we'll have some more stuff coming soon. We're going four-wheeling Monday, so there should be some good footage from that, I hope. It should be a pretty good group. It is going to be like 24 degrees, so I don't know how much filming I'll get out and do, but try to do quite a bit. But yeah, this is it. Have a good day.